If you're over 60 and you still eat toast every morning without thinking twice, this message could save your energy, your circulation, and even your manhood. Because what I'm about to tell you goes against everything you've been told about healthy bread. In fact, one of the most common breads found in American homes, the kind advertised as wholesome, heart-friendly, or multigrain, could actually be inflaming your arteries, wrecking your blood sugar, and quietly killing the erections you still hope to enjoy. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping older adults reverse fatigue, hormone decline, and circulation issues, often starting with small changes like what kind of bread you put in your toaster. Now here's the surprising truth. Not all breads are created equal. Some spike your blood sugar worse than candy. Others claim to be whole wheat, but are nothing more than dyed white flour. Even gluten-free breads, which sound healthy, are often loaded with starches that sabotage your metabolism. The bread you trust might be the very thing draining your energy and silently weakening your vitality. But there's good news. In this video, I'll walk you through the 4 worst breads seniors should avoid, and the 4 powerful breads you must choose instead. Breads that support your heart, prostate, and bedroom performance. And by the end, you'll learn the one daily swap that could reignite your strength in just 7 days. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that button and turn on the bell, so you never miss another health tip designed specifically for seniors like you. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create even better content that truly supports your health and vitality. Let's start with the truth most people avoid. Not all bread is created equal, and after 60, the wrong kind can silently damage your heart, your blood flow, and your performance in ways you never imagined. So first, let me walk you through the 4 worst breads you should never eat after 60, especially if you care about your energy, circulation, and long-term vitality. 1. White bread. Let me be honest with you. When I was growing up, white bread was everywhere. It was in every lunchbox, every diner, every breakfast table. Toasted, buttered, layered with jam, it felt like comfort, tradition, and simplicity all in one soft slice. And for many of you watching right now, it still is. But here's the part that hurts to say, and maybe even harder to hear. White bread is one of the most dangerous foods you can eat after the age of 60. I don't say that lightly. I say it as a doctor who has spent over 3 decades watching men slowly lose their energy, their clarity, their strength, without realizing that the damage started with the simplest, most ordinary foods. And white bread is at the top of that list. Why? Because white bread is stripped of everything your body needs. It's made from refined flour, meaning the fiber, vitamins, and minerals have been removed. What's left is a soft, fluffy starch bomb that turns into sugar the moment it hits your digestive system. That spike in blood sugar may seem harmless. You may not feel it immediately, but over time, it leads to insulin resistance, weight gain around the midsection, inflammation in the arteries, and worse, damage to the tiny blood vessels responsible for erections, mental clarity, and circulation. I've had men in their 70s come to me complaining about brain fog, poor sleep, lack of motivation, even trouble connecting intimately with their partner. They thought it was just aging, but when we looked closer at their diet, their lifestyle, and their lab work, it often traced back to foods like white bread. Daily, silent, unnoticed, 1 slice at breakfast, 1 sandwich at lunch, maybe a roll at dinner. It adds up. And for seniors, that kind of metabolic strain is devastating. But there's another layer to this. White bread doesn't just spike your blood sugar, it also starves your microbiome, the community of healthy bacteria in your gut that controls digestion, hormone balance, and immunity. Without fiber, those bacteria weaken. And when they weaken, everything else suffers. Your mood, your energy, even your testosterone levels. I remember one patient, a retired veteran named Gerald, 72 years old. He came in feeling exhausted and frustrated. His sleep was broken, his intimacy gone, and he felt like he was fading away. He said to me, "Doc, I eat simple, just eggs, coffee, and some toast." That toast, I learned, was white bread. Every morning, every week, every year. We swapped it out with a healthier option, one I'll share with you shortly, and within 3 weeks, Gerald was sleeping deeper, thinking clearer, and smiling again. He called it his comeback. Now, I'm not here to shame anyone. I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is, white bread is not neutral. It's not harmless. It's silently draining you from the inside out. And the longer you keep it in your daily routine, the harder it becomes to reverse the damage. But if white bread is so obviously bad, then what about whole wheat bread? That one's supposed to be healthy, right? You might be shocked to learn. It could be even more deceptive. Let me explain. 2. Enriched whole wheat bread, not 100% whole grain. This one surprises most people. We've been told for years that whole wheat bread is the healthy choice. It's printed right there on the package, whole wheat, sometimes with a splash of gold or a green check mark to make it feel trustworthy. And for many older adults trying to do the right thing, choosing whole wheat over white bread feels like a smart step. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the so-called whole wheat bread on store shelves isn't truly whole at all. Let me tell you about a man I once treated. Alan, 67 years old, former high school coach, tough as nails but worn down by years of chronic fatigue and high blood pressure. He switched from white bread to whole wheat years ago, thinking it would support his heart and energy. But when I asked him to bring in the loaf he used every morning, I turned it around and showed him the fine print. First ingredient? Enriched wheat flour, not whole grain, not fiber-rich, just refined flour with synthetic nutrients added back in after processing. It's like tearing a house down to its foundation and then painting over the ruins. Enriched flour is missing the bran, the germ, the essential parts of the grain that stabilize your blood sugar, support digestion, and feed your metabolism. What you're left with is a high glycemic food that still causes energy crashes, gut irritation, and inflammation in your blood vessels. After 60, your body doesn't recover from those sugar spikes the way it used to. Your insulin response is slower, your cells are less sensitive, and your arteries, they're more fragile. When you eat enriched wheat bread, your blood sugar rises fast, but it doesn't come down gently. That roller coaster leads to mood swings, brain fog, stubborn belly fat, and even early signs of erectile dysfunction. It's painful because you're trying to make the right choice. You reach for what you've been told is healthier, but food labels today are clever. They use buzzwords like stone ground, multigrain, or made with whole wheat to cover up what's really going on. Unless the label says 100% whole grain and you see fiber content of at least 3 grams per slice, chances are it's working against you, not for you. Now, here's something else to consider. When bread is enriched, it often lacks the natural compounds that help lower cholesterol, balance hormones, and feed your gut bacteria. And if you're dealing with prostate issues, fatigue, or intimacy struggles, the absence of those compounds can quietly make things worse. Alan made the switch. We moved him to a truly whole grain bread, one with seeds, real fiber, and no fake flour. Within a month, he dropped his blood pressure by 10 points, lost 5 pounds of stubborn midsection weight, and told me something that stuck with me. "Doc, I didn't realize how heavy I'd been feeling until I finally felt light again." Now, if enriched wheat is hiding behind a healthy label, imagine what happens when bread is marketed as even more wholesome, like multigrain. But don't be fooled by the name. The next one on our list may be the biggest trap of them all. Let's take a closer look. 3. Multigrain bread. This one frustrates me the most, because it's marketed so cleverly that even the most health-conscious seniors fall for it. Multigrain sounds like a badge of honor, right? Like you're eating something robust, earthy, filled with nutrients and strength. I mean, the word itself, multigrain, suggests variety, balance, maybe even something ancient or whole. But here's the truth, and it's not easy to hear. Most multigrain breads are nothing more than white bread in disguise, wearing a brown jacket. I had a patient once. Her name was Lorraine, 74 years old, a retired school teacher who cared deeply about her health. She brought her food journal to our visit, and I could tell she had been trying. Oatmeal in the morning, a multigrain sandwich at lunch, vegetables with dinner, but she still had high blood sugar, stiff joints, and daily exhaustion she couldn't explain. So I asked her to bring in her bread. The label said multigrain, sure, but the ingredient list told a very different story. It started with enriched wheat flour, added sugar, and preservatives. The grains? They were barely present. A few flakes of oats here, a dash of barley there, but not whole, not fiber-rich, and not blood sugar-friendly. The food industry loves to play with words. Multigrain just means more than one type of grain was used. It says nothing about whether those grains are whole, refined, bleached, or nutrient-dead. And more often than not, they are the latter. What this means for older adults is serious. These breads digest quickly, spike your blood sugar, and leave you hungrier within hours. They give you that brief moment of satisfaction, but rob your body of lasting energy. Over time, this daily spike and crash cycle wears down your insulin response. It promotes belly fat. It contributes to inflammation that affects everything from your memory to your manhood. And if you're already dealing with circulation issues, fatigue, or declining stamina, this type of bread can make recovery feel impossible because your body is constantly fighting an invisible battle every time you eat it. Even worse, many multigrain breads contain additives and conditioners that disrupt your gut health. I've seen this lead to bloating, irregular bowel movements, and weakened nutrient absorption, all of which compound the issues older adults already face with digestion and hormone balance. Lorraine didn't need a new medication. She needed the truth. We swapped out that multigrain loaf for one made with sprouted grains, real grains, living nutrients. Within weeks, her blood sugar stabilized, her energy came back, and the chronic brain fog she thought was just part of getting older began to lift. So next time you see multigrain on a label, I want you to pause. Turn the package over. Read the ingredients. Don't be seduced by the surface. And now comes a twist that shocks even my most label-savvy patients. You'd think gluten-free bread, free from wheat and flour, would be safe, right? But in reality, it might be the worst offender of all. Let's talk about why. 4. Gluten-free bread made with refined starches. Now, I know this might come as a surprise, because for the past decade, we've been told that going gluten-free is one of the healthiest choices you can make. And for people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, yes, avoiding gluten is critical. But here's where the truth gets a little uncomfortable. Just because something is gluten-free doesn't mean it's good for you. In fact, many gluten-free breads are filled with ingredients that are far worse than gluten when it comes to blood sugar, inflammation, and circulation, especially in older adults. I remember a man named Roger who came to see me. He was 69, recently retired, and had started gaining weight around his midsection despite eating clean. He told me proudly that he'd switched to gluten-free bread because he read it was better for the heart. But every afternoon, after his sandwich, he would crash, physically and mentally, tired, foggy, heavy. He blamed his age, but when we took a closer look, the truth came out. The gluten-free bread he was eating every day was made mostly from rice flour, tapioca starch, and potato starch, 3 of the highest glycemic ingredients you can find. These starches digest rapidly and spike your blood sugar faster than even white bread. They have almost no fiber, no healthy fats, no protein, just empty, fast-burning carbs. For someone over 60, that's like pouring gasoline on a fire that's already burning low. And here's the kicker. Many gluten-free breads also contain industrial seed oils like canola or sunflower, which promote systemic inflammation and oxidative stress. If you're already dealing with prostate issues, joint stiffness, poor circulation, or declining intimacy, those extra inflammatory triggers can quietly worsen everything. Roger's story isn't rare. I've seen it again and again, seniors reaching for gluten-free thinking they're choosing a better path, only to find themselves gaining weight, feeling sluggish, and losing their edge. And it's not their fault. It's marketing. It's misinformation. It's the illusion of health in a cleverly packaged loaf. But here's what I want you to remember. Real health doesn't come from what's missing. It comes from what's present. And most gluten-free breads are missing the very nutrients your body needs to thrive after 60. They don't support testosterone, or energy, or blood flow. They don't protect your heart or nourish your gut. They're just empty calories dressed up in a gluten-free label. Roger made one simple change. He swapped out that gluten-free bread for one made with sprouted grains, rich in fiber, loaded with protein, slow to digest, and full of life. And in just 2 weeks, he told me, "Doc, I feel lighter, not just in my body, but in my mind." So if all 4 of these breads, white, enriched wheat, multigrain, and gluten-free starch bombs, are silently working against your energy and vitality, then what should you reach for instead? The good news is, there are powerful, nutrient-dense breads that don't just avoid harm. They actively support your circulation, your hormones, and your confidence as a man over 60. Let me show you the 4 breads you should be eating instead, breads that fuel strength, not weakness. 1. Sprouted grain bread, e.g. the Ezekiel bread. After everything we've just uncovered, the hidden dangers in the most common breads, it's only fair to shift the spotlight towards something that truly supports your body, especially after 60. And in my years of treating older men and women, if I had to name just one bread that consistently delivers real results, it would be sprouted grain bread. Now, I want you to picture a tiny seed. Inside that seed is everything life needs to grow: nutrients, enzymes, energy. When that seed is allowed to sprout, it wakes up, it becomes alive, it begins to unlock its full potential. That's what happens when you sprout a grain. And when you make bread from sprouted grains, you get something dramatically different from the dead, bleached flour used in most commercial breads. Sprouted grain bread is packed with protein, fiber, B vitamins, iron, magnesium, and antioxidants, all of which are vital for men and women over 60. And unlike refined breads, it digests slowly and steadily, helping to stabilize blood sugar, prevent crashes, and protect your circulation. That's a big deal, because when your blood sugar stays balanced, your hormones do too. Testosterone stays stronger, energy stays more consistent, your mood, your focus, and even your intimacy all benefit. One of my patients, Harold, he's 71 now, was skeptical when I first brought this up. He said, "Doc, bread is bread. How different can this be?" But we swapped out his usual toast for sprouted Ezekiel bread. Within 10 days, he noticed he wasn't falling asleep in the chair by mid-afternoon anymore. His morning walks felt easier. He even said his cravings for sugar in the evening started to fade, naturally, without trying. That's the power of feeding your body real nutrients instead of empty calories. What also makes sprouted grain bread unique is that it contains all parts of the grain: bran, germ, and endosperm, unlike processed breads which strip these away. That means you're getting not only more fiber, but also the natural compounds that support digestion, reduce inflammation, and strengthen your heart and prostate. Some people worry about taste or texture at first because it's denser, heartier, but most come to love it. It has a nutty, rich flavor that pairs beautifully with eggs, avocado, almond butter, whatever fuels your morning. And more importantly, it makes you feel grounded, nourished, and sustained, not bloated or foggy. Here's something to remember. After 60, your food either heals you or harms you. There's rarely a neutral zone, and sprouted grain bread is one of those healing foods that works with your body, not against it. Now, if you're thinking that sprouted bread sounds too earthy or unfamiliar, don't worry. There's another option that might feel more traditional but still delivers incredible benefits. In fact, it comes from a centuries-old tradition that's making a major comeback among health-conscious seniors. Let me tell you about it. 2. Sourdough bread, traditional, fermented. If there's one bread that connects generations, cultures, and kitchens across the world, it's sourdough. It's not new. In fact, it's ancient. Long before factories started mass-producing loaves with preservatives and artificial dough conditioners, people made bread the old-fashioned way, by letting it ferment naturally. And this traditional process gives sourdough a unique place in your kitchen, especially if you're over 60 and looking for foods that heal rather than harm. Sourdough bread is made through a slow fermentation process using wild yeast and beneficial bacteria. That's what gives it that slightly tangy flavor and chewy texture. But it also gives it something far more powerful: digestibility. As we age, our bodies change. Digestion slows, acid levels drop, and many foods that once felt fine now cause bloating, discomfort, or fatigue. Sourdough eases that burden. When the dough is fermented properly, the wild bacteria break down gluten and phytic acid, two compounds that often cause digestive stress and block nutrient absorption. This makes sourdough easier on the gut, gentler on the blood sugar, and far more nourishing overall. It's the kind of bread that works with your body, not against it. I think of Tom, one of my longtime patients. He's 68 and a retired firefighter with a stubborn streak. He used to laugh at anything labeled healthy or artisanal. But he came to me complaining of daily bloating, tightness in his chest, and what he called brain fog. He didn't want pills. He wanted answers. So we looked at his diet, and sure enough, it was filled with supermarket whole wheat and low-fiber options. I asked him to try switching to traditional sourdough for 2 weeks, just that one change. He rolled his eyes, but agreed. Within days, Tom started noticing something. He wasn't as bloated after meals. His mind felt sharper in the afternoons, his walks felt lighter, and by the second week, his wife told me, "Whatever you did, give him more of it. He's back." That's the hidden power of sourdough. It restores balance. It feeds your gut with beneficial microbes, stabilizes your blood sugar, and delivers nutrients in a form your body can actually use. It's especially helpful if you're dealing with inflammation, fatigue, poor sleep, or hormonal imbalances, all of which become more common after 60. Now, not all sourdough is created equal. Many store-bought brands cut corners and use commercial yeast instead of true fermentation. What you want is real sourdough, made from minimal ingredients, just flour, water, salt, and thyme. When done right, it's one of the few breads that supports digestion, heart health, and even mental clarity all at once. And the taste? It's hearty, grounding, and deeply satisfying. Toasted with a little olive oil, layered with fresh tomato, or enjoyed alongside a bowl of soup, it's a sensory experience that nourishes both body and spirit. Still, if sourdough feels a little too rustic, or you're craving something denser and darker, there's another powerful option that deserves a spot in your kitchen. One that's rich in fiber, proven to support blood sugar, and especially helpful for seniors concerned about cholesterol and blood pressure. Let's talk about that next. 3. Whole rye bread, especially sprouted or dark rye. There's something honest about rye bread. It's not flashy. It doesn't try to look perfect. It's dense, it's dark, and it tells you right away. It means business. And that's exactly what your body needs after 60. Substance over fluff. Nutrients over marketing. Real fuel, not filler. And whole rye bread delivers just that. Rye is one of those grains that's been quietly nourishing people for centuries, especially in parts of Europe where heart health, digestive wellness, and longevity were less about pills and more about food. And the science is catching up. Rye bread, when made from 100% whole rye or sprouted rye, is a nutritional powerhouse. It's packed with a special kind of fiber called arabinoxylan, which does something remarkable. It helps improve your body's insulin sensitivity, stabilizes blood sugar, and supports healthy cholesterol levels, all while making you feel fuller for longer. For seniors dealing with blood sugar fluctuations, weight gain around the belly, or those dreaded afternoon crashes, rye can be a quiet hero. It doesn't spike your glucose the way wheat or starch-heavy breads do. Instead, it gives you slow, steady energy. No crash, no fog, just a feeling of balance that's rare in highly processed foods. I remember a woman named Joyce, 67, retired librarian, thoughtful and meticulous about everything. She came in with rising A1C levels and a deep frustration. "I eat so little," she said, "but I always feel heavy." We looked closely, and sure enough, her go-to toast and sandwich breads were the usual suspects. Whole wheat with a long ingredient list, sneaky sugars, and barely any fiber. I introduced her to a dense, sprouted rye loaf from a local bakery, just 4 ingredients and rich, nutty flavor. It wasn't love at first bite, she told me later, but by week 2, she was hooked. Her digestion improved, her blood sugar stabilized, and she felt fuller after meals without overeating. Most importantly, she felt hopeful again. That's what I want for you, not just better numbers on a lab report, but a better quality of life. Rye bread supports that in a quiet, consistent way. Its high fiber content promotes regularity, its slow-burning carbs help manage hunger, and its deep mineral profile, including magnesium and phosphorus, supports muscle function, nerve health, and even bone strength. Plus, the dark richness of rye pairs beautifully with savory toppings, smoked salmon, avocado, hummus, or a slice of hard cheese. It's satisfying in every sense. And here's the best part. Rye bread is one of the few that actively lowers LDL cholesterol over time. For seniors concerned about their heart, circulation, or even erectile function, that's no small benefit. Stronger arteries mean better blood flow, and better blood flow means a stronger, more energized life. But if rye feels too heavy, or you're looking for a bread that goes beyond energy and digestion, something that actively supports your hormones, reduces inflammation, and even boosts your prostate health, then there's one more option I want you to know about. And this one? It's a true unsung hero. Let's explore it next. 4. Flaxseed bread. This final bread may not be sitting on every grocery store shelf, but it absolutely deserves a place in your kitchen, especially if you're over 60 and serious about reclaiming your strength, balance, and vitality. Flaxseed bread is one of those quiet nutritional powerhouses that most people overlook. But once you understand what it does for your body, you'll wonder why no one ever told you about it sooner. Flax seeds are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, plant-based compounds called lignans, and an impressive amount of soluble fiber. Together, they form a triple threat against some of the most common health issues older adults face: chronic inflammation, poor circulation, hormonal imbalance, and digestive slowdown. And when those seeds are baked into a dense, nourishing bread, the results can be remarkable. I had a patient named Martin, 65, semi-retired contractor, stubborn in the best way. He didn't want anything fancy or trendy, but he came to me with constant joint stiffness, prostate inflammation, and the kind of fatigue that felt deeper than just being tired. He still had ambition, still had passion, but his body wasn't cooperating. We talked through his diet, and it was missing one critical thing: anti-inflammatory foods that support hormone balance. So I recommended flaxseed bread. At first, he was hesitant. "Seeds in my bread?" he asked, like I was suggesting something from another planet. But a week later, he called me, excited. He said his digestion felt smoother, his knees ached less in the morning, and, in his words, "Things are waking up again down there." That last part made him laugh, but I could tell it meant a lot to him. Because it wasn't just about bread, it was about feeling like himself again. What makes flaxseed bread especially powerful is how it interacts with testosterone and estrogen balance. The lignans in flax help modulate estrogen levels in men, which becomes increasingly important after 60 when hormone shifts can lead to lower libido, reduced energy, and even prostate enlargement. Plus, the omega-3s support heart health and reduce arterial stiffness, improving blood flow where you need it most. And let's not forget the fiber. High-fiber breads like flaxseed not only improve bowel regularity, but also support gut health, a vital piece of the puzzle when it comes to nutrient absorption, inflammation control, and immunity. After 60, your gut becomes one of your greatest allies, or enemies, depending on how you feed it. Flaxseed helps keep it on your side. The texture of flaxseed bread is hearty and satisfying. It's perfect with a spread of almond butter, a slice of turkey, or even plain with a drizzle of olive oil. Every bite delivers something your body can actually use, not just burn and crash from. And here's what I want to leave you with before we wrap up. When you remove the wrong breads and replace them with these nutrient-rich options, like flaxseed, you don't just prevent problems, you rebuild strength, you nourish energy, you bring back clarity, drive, even desire. So now that you've learned the 4 worst breads to avoid and the 4 best breads to choose, the question is, what happens when you actually make the switch? Let's talk about what to expect in your body over the next 7, 14, and 30 days. You might be surprised just how quickly your body responds. Conclusion. By now, you've probably realized something that many people never hear from their doctor. The bread you eat every day, something so familiar, so ordinary, can quietly shape the course of your health after 60. I don't say that to scare you. I say it because I've seen what happens when men and women finally get the truth. And more importantly, I've seen the incredible changes that follow when they take action. We've uncovered the 4 worst breads most seniors should never eat. White bread, which strips your body of nutrients and floods it with sugar. Enriched wheat bread, which hides behind a healthy label but wreaks havoc on your blood sugar. Multigrain bread, which often means nothing more than refined grains disguised in a darker loaf. And gluten-free bread, which sadly replaces one problem with another by using high glycemic starches that inflame the body and rob you of energy. But we didn't stop there, because knowledge is only useful when you know what to do with it. And that's where the 4 breads you should be eating come in: sprouted grain bread, sourdough, whole rye, and flaxseed. Each one offers something powerful: real nutrients, real fiber, and real benefits that support your heart, your digestion, your hormones, and yes, your intimacy. I've watched men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s come back to life just by making this one change. I remember a man named Dennis. He was 73 when we met. Quiet, thoughtful, but tired. He felt heavy, both physically and emotionally. He had lost touch with his appetite for life. Together, we removed the processed bread he was used to and replaced it with sprouted and sourdough options. Within 2 weeks, his wife told me he was waking up earlier, more talkative, even asking her to take walks again. That might not sound like much, but for them, it was everything. That's the part we don't talk about enough. This isn't just about lowering blood sugar or easing digestion, it's about reclaiming your confidence. It's about showing up fully for yourself, for your partner, for your life. Because when you start your morning with something that actually fuels your body, something living, whole, and nourishing, you're telling your body, I still care, I still want to feel strong. And your body listens. If you make these swaps today, just switch out what's in your toaster, what's in your sandwich, what you grab at the store, you'll start to feel the difference in 7 days. In 14, you may notice your sleep improving, your thinking sharpening, your energy returning. And by 30 days, you may look in the mirror and see a version of yourself you thought was long gone. It all begins with one choice, one slice, one moment where you say, I deserve better than the bread that's been holding me back. Because you do. And it's never too late to feed your strength, your clarity, and your confidence, one bite at a time. If this video spoke to you, if it gave you clarity, comfort, or even just a new idea to try, please take a moment to give it a like. It helps more than you know. And if you think someone you care about could benefit from this message, share it with them. A single share might change someone's entire health journey. I also want to hear from you. Have you tried switching your bread? What difference did it make in your energy, sleep, or intimacy? Drop a comment below. I read every one, and your story might inspire someone else who needs hope right now. If you'd like to support this channel and help us keep creating honest, doctor-backed content for seniors, you can make a small donation using the link in the description. Every dollar goes towards spreading real, empowering health education to more people just like you. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another tip made just for you. This isn't just a channel, it's a community, and I'm honored you're here.